in memory of and dedicated to those who fight their silent battles every day. Meet MB, a young girl whose journey through the shadows of mental health has been both courageous and heart-wrenching. For years, MB battled the inner demons manifested by her trauma, but with the support of her friends and dedicated therapists, she slowly began to heal. One day at a time, MB made progress. It seemed as though she'd found solace in her art, strength in her support groups, and hope in the caring hands of her therapists. Her smile returned, a testament to her resilience and the power of compassion. But in mid-July 2017, at the Star View Adolescent Center, everything began to change for her, and her world began to crumble once again. Was it because of this new doctor's care that MB felt more isolated and vulnerable than ever before? Her mental health, which had shown so much promise, started to deteriorate rapidly. The safety and progress she had known were replaced with a sense of entrapment and despair. MB's story is a tale of strength, hope, and the relentless pursuit of healing, overshadowed by a tragic turn. Her journey reminds us of the fragile nature of recovery and the profound impact that care and compassion, or the lack thereof, can have on a young soul.
All of the content in this video is protected by the Copyright Act of 1976. The intention of this video is to report and criticize the posts, claims, videos, and content posted by Dr. Zohar Vaisman, of which may be perceived as shocking. But it is necessary to discuss for educational and documentary purposes.
What am I?
Lion Gaming made another video. It's time to debunk this one too. Stop right there. Definitely not a psychologist, nor do I ever pose as a psychologist.
Let's quickly examine this claim based on information provided by Dr. Vaisman via his LinkedIn profile. Dr. Zohar Vaisman appears to present himself as a psychologist and therapist through various roles and job titles listed on his LinkedIn profile. Here's a summary of the evidence supporting his professional identity as a therapist. Evidence from LinkedIn profile. 1. Title: lists himself as Program Director, Psychotherapist, Author, indicating a background in psychotherapy. Current position: Program Director, Counseling at Feb 2020. Present. Responsibilities include initiating programs and collaborating for mental health support, aligned with therapeutic duties. Previous positions: Behavioral Interventionist, Therapist at Intercare Therapy. INCIO uses applied behavior analysis, ABA, to support children and young adults. Indicative of therapeutic intervention. Primary therapist at Star View Adolescent Center, Jan 2017, Jan 2018. Responsibilities include assessing clients and monitoring mental health. Core functions of a therapist. The term psychotherapist directly identifies his professional practice in therapy, but there is one major conflicting issue with many of the claims made in this profile: the lack of proper licensure credentials.
Being stripped of his license?
Line number 2. Okay, that was fast. So the way this works, you get 1,500 registration. Psych associate number was also revoked and canceled. Okay, next slide.
Dr. Vaisman's statement is not accurate. In California, obtaining a new license after completing a pre-doctoral internship and moving into postdoctoral training involves several steps and requirements, and a registration psych associate number alone does not guarantee automatic licensing. Here's how the process generally works. 1. Pre-doctoral internship. During this phase, individuals complete required supervised clinical hours and gain practical experience. 2. Postdoctoral supervision. After completing the pre-doctoral internship, individuals enter a postdoctoral phase where they continue gaining supervised experience. 3. Licensing exams. Candidates must pass the required licensing exams, including the Examination for Professional Practice in Psychology, EPPP, and a California-specific law and ethics exam. 4. Application for licensure. After meeting all supervised experience and examination requirements, candidates can apply for licensure. 5. Review and approval. The California Board of Psychology reviews the application, including verifying that all requirements have been met. 6. Issuance of license. If approved, the candidate is granted a psychologist license. Dr. Vaisman's license status of "No practice allowed" indicates that his ability to practice is currently restricted or revoked. This status would not automatically change with the completion of postdoctoral training or obtaining a registration psych associate number. He would need to resolve any issues affecting his current license status and meet all requirements for obtaining a new license. In California, a therapist's associate license can be canceled for several reasons after a predoctoral internship. Common reasons include unprofessional conduct, engaging in unethical or inappropriate behavior, such as breaching client confidentiality or committing fraud, failure to meet requirements, not completing the required supervised clinical hours, or failing to pass licensing exams. Disciplinary actions, being found guilty of criminal activities or serious misconduct, neglecting renewal, failing to meet renewal requirements or continuing education obligations, fraud or misrepresentation, providing false information during the licensing process, non-compliance, violating state regulations or ethical guidelines, incompetence, demonstrating significant inadequacy or incompetence in professional practice. The California Board of Psychology oversees these issues and may impose cancellations based on these grounds.
His employment at an institution in July 2017 coincided with a rapid decline in the mental health of a minor girl he was treating, suggesting his presence exacerbated her condition. Testifying against this girl, Vaisman contributed to her sentencing.
Alright, so I don't want to be mean and call you a moron. Let's just say you're uneducated in this field and how these things work. So let me educate you. So my presence exasperated her condition. I contributed to the sentencing. If you read the entire thing and don't just highlight certain parts, you'll see that this was a conservatorship case. Do you know what that is?
It would not be legal for Dr. Vaisman to hold the position of primary therapist with a license status of no practice allowed. In California, where Dr. Vaisman works, the law requires that mental health professionals must have an active and valid license to practice, especially for roles that involve direct patient care and therapy. If his license status prohibits practice, he cannot legally perform the duties of a therapist, including diagnosing and treating patients, providing therapy sessions, or any other activities that fall under the scope of practice for licensed mental health professionals. Holding a position that involves practicing therapy without an active license would be a violation of state regulations and could result in legal consequences for both Dr. Vaisman and the facility employing him. Now, let's examine Starview Adolescent Center and explore Vaisman's role there. Starview Adolescent Center includes both a psychiatric health facility, PHF, and a community treatment facility, CTF, with the PHF being a more acute and secure part of the center. According to the testimony in the case, the PHF is a locked facility that provides a higher level of supervision and security for patients who need it. James Rainey's 1997 LA Times article, "Troubled Group Home is a Study in Foster Care Woes," outlines severe issues at Starview Adolescent Center in Torrance, California. The facility, meant for troubled youths, has been plagued by abuse incidents, including the use of tranquilizers as punishment, physical abuse during takedowns, and allegations of misconduct by a maintenance worker. Complaints also include overmedication with drugs like Thorazine, sometimes without proper authorization. Despite attempts to address these issues, Starview continues to face mixed reviews and scrutiny from residents and officials. Jeremy Loudenbach's 2015 article in the imprint, "High Demand for Intensive Services," highlights Starview's integration of residential and educational services through on-site South Bay High School, providing stability for youths with significant mental health needs. The facility, serving a predominantly female population with severe trauma, including commercial sexual exploitation, employs restrictive measures like locked doors and seclusion, requiring medical oversight. Although California's AB 403 initially threatened the future of community treatment facilities, CTFs, like Starview, recent amendments have allowed them to continue, contingent on adequate state funding. These articles reveal troubling conditions at Starview, exacerbated by Dr. Vaisman's questionable licensing status. Exposure to the facility's abusive and neglectful environment likely worsened MB's mental health issues. If gross negligence or intentional harm is proven, criminal charges could also be filed. Starview might face regulatory penalties or closure. Ensuring the safety and well-being of residents and holding responsible parties accountable should be a priority. The CTF is less restrictive, but still offers significant supervision and support for adolescents with severe mental health needs. In this case, MB, minor, appealed the order appointing the Alameda County Public Guardian as her conservator under the Lanterman-Petrus Short Act, LPS Act, arguing that the conservatorship investigator failed to investigate all available alternatives. The public guardian did not prove she was gravely disabled, and there was insufficient evidence to support her placement at Star View Adolescent Center. In summary, the appellate court affirmed the order establishing the conservatorship, concluding that minor was gravely disabled and needed the specialized care provided by Starview. Given Dr. Vaisman's troubling behavior patterns and the context of his position at Starview Adolescent Center, combined with the facility's history of abusive treatment, several probable scenarios could correlate with MB's steep decline in mental health. 1. Psychological manipulation and abuse. Dr. Vaisman's self-admitted narcissistic personality disorder and his documented history of using VR to simulate violent acts against critics suggest he might engage in manipulative and psychologically abusive behavior. MB could have been subjected to intimidation, threats, or emotional abuse, exacerbating her mental health issues. 2. Neglect or inappropriate treatment. Given Dr. Vaisman's license status, no practice is allowed, and his position at the facility, there might have been instances where MB did not receive appropriate care. This could include misdiagnosis, neglect, or inappropriate therapeutic interventions that did not align with her needs, leading to a deterioration in her mental state. 3. Hostile environment. The general atmosphere of the facility, known for abusive treatment, could have contributed to a toxic environment. MB might have experienced or witnessed abuse, leading to increased anxiety, depression, or PTSD. Dr. Vaisman's influence could have reinforced this hostile environment, making it difficult for MB to feel safe or supported. 4. Isolation and lack of support. Dr. Vaisman's behavior, combined with the facility's practices, might have led to MB feeling isolated and unsupported. If staff, including Dr. Vaisman, were more focused on control and punishment rather than therapeutic support, MB's mental health could have rapidly declined due to a lack of meaningful and compassionate care. 5. Retaliation and punishment. If MB raised concerns or complaints about her treatment, Dr. Vaisman or other staff might have retaliated by subjecting her to harsher treatment or punitive measures. This could include isolation, physical restraint, or other forms of punitive treatment that would significantly harm her mental well-being. 6. Exposure to harmful practices. Dr. Vaisman's unorthodox and violent tendencies, as evidenced by his VR activities, might have translated into harmful therapeutic practices. MB could have been exposed to experimental or harmful treatments that worsened her condition rather than helped her heal. In sum, it's probable that MB's steep decline in mental health could be attributed to a combination of psychological manipulation, neglect, a hostile and abusive environment, lack of support, retaliation, and exposure to harmful practices within the facility, influenced by Dr. Vaisman's troubling behavior and the facility's history of abusive treatment.
Stop. Wait. Look sad. Look what I'm offering you. Your dreams.
And my kingdom is great.
I ask for so little. Just let me rule you. And you can have everything that you want.
Kingdom is great. Damn. I can never remember that line.
Just fear me, love me, do as I say, and I will be your slave.
My kingdom is great. You have no power over me. You have no power over me.